Picture two neighbors, same street, same age. Both retire on the same day. David spent 35 years maxing out his 401k. Never missed a contribution. Watched his balance hit $2 million and felt genuinely unstoppable. Marcus also saved diligently. But about 15 years before retirement, he started doing something quietly different. Something most people never think about until it's too late. Fast forward to retirement. David is forced to withdraw over $75,000 from his account that first year, money he didn't even need yet, and pays roughly $18,000 in taxes on it. That number grows every single year after. By 80, his annual tax bill on forced withdrawals exceeds what most people earn in a salary. Marcus? He pulls exactly what he needs, pays almost nothing in taxes, and his money keeps growing, untouched, with zero government interference. Same neighborhood. Same starting discipline. Completely different financial reality. The difference wasn't income. It wasn't luck. It wasn't even investment returns. It was one strategic shift, made at exactly the right time in life. And here's what makes this so important. Most people won't discover this shift until they're already sitting in David's chair, because nobody warns you. The financial industry actually benefits when you don't know about it. Stay with me, because what I'm about to show you changes how you see every retirement account you'll ever own before we go any further. Let's be completely clear about something. The 401k is one of the greatest wealth-building tools ever, invented for the average American worker. That is not an exaggeration. When your employer matches your contributions, that's an instant 50% to 100% return on your money before a single investment decision is made. Nothing in the financial world comes close to that. If your employer offers a match and you're not taking every dollar of it, that is genuinely one of the most expensive financial mistakes you can make. And the tax-deferred growth? Compounding for 30 or 40 years without the IRS touching it. That math is almost unfair in your favor. So this is not an anti-401k video. This is a timing video, because here's the part the brochures leave out. The 401k was designed to solve a very specific problem at a very specific stage of life. And like any tool, it becomes less optimal, and in some cases actively harmful, when you use it past the point it was designed for. Think of it like this. A hammer is a perfect tool, but if you're trying to hang a picture frame and you're still using a hammer at the point where you need a screwdriver, the tool isn't broken. Your strategy is just outdated. Most people never update the strategy, and that gap between blindly following the same retirement playbook forever versus knowing when and why to evolve is where hundreds of thousands of dollars quietly disappear. Let's talk about the mechanism that blindsides people. The one that turned David's dream retirement into an annual tax event. It's called the required minimum distribution. And once you understand it, you'll never look at a 401k the same way again. Here's how it works. The government made a deal with you when you first contributed to your 401k. The deal was, we'll let you skip taxes now. Grow your money. Build your future. But we will collect, and we get to choose when. That collection begins at age 73, non-negotiable. The IRS publishes a table that determines exactly how much you must withdraw from your traditional 401k every single year, based on your age and your account balance. You don't get a vote. You don't get to say you don't need the money yet, and here's where the chain reaction starts. Because this is what most people completely miss. Say, you have $2 million in your 401k at 73. Your required withdrawal that year is around $75,000 to $80,000. That entire amount gets counted as ordinary income, taxed at the same rates as a salary. Suddenly you're pushed into a higher tax bracket, and that triggers other consequences. Your Medicare Part B premiums increase. More of your Social Security benefits become taxable. Your net investment income surcharge kicks in. One forced withdrawal doesn't just create one tax bill. It creates a cascade, and here's the number that should stop you cold. A person who retires with $2 million in a traditional 401k, fully pre-tax, could realistically pay $400,000 to $600,000 more in lifetime taxes than someone with the same $2 million, distributed strategically across different account types, not same wealth, wildly different outcome. Now here's the part that actually shocks most people when they finally hear it. The problem isn't just the taxes themselves, it's the timing of those taxes. And specifically, who controls that timing? Because in a traditional 401k, the government controls it. They decide when the money comes out, they set the amount, they pick the rate, but there exists a version of retirement where you control every single one of those variables, and the path to getting there is something most people have heard of. But almost nobody uses correctly. It's called a Roth conversion, and understanding it properly is what separates financial strategy from financial hope. Here's the concept in plain language. Your traditional 401k holds pre-tax money. Every dollar in there has never been taxed. You've been carrying a silent partner this entire time, and that partner's name is the IRS. They own a percentage of your account. You just don't know the exact percentage yet, because it depends on what tax rates look like when you withdraw. Roth conversion lets you buy out that silent partner on your terms at a time you strategically choose. You take a portion of your 401k, not all of it, not recklessly, and you convert it into a Roth account. You pay the taxes on that converted amount now. But from that point forward, that money grows completely tax-free. No RMDs, no forced withdrawals, no government clock ticking down in the background. You can let it grow for the rest of your life and pass it to your children. Also tax-free. The money becomes genuinely, structurally, legally yours. But here's the key insight that makes this brilliant when done correctly, and expensive when done carelessly. The timing of conversions is everything. There is a window in most people's lives, typically between ages 60 and 72, where something rare happens. Your active income has dropped because you've slowed down or stopped working. But your required minimum distributions haven't started yet. Your tax bracket is lower than it's been in decades. This is what financial strategists call the Roth conversion window. And for people who recognize it, this single decade can be worth more than almost any investment decision they've ever made. Think about it like this. You're moving cargo across a toll highway. You can cross at any time, but during rush hour, every mile costs you double. The Roth conversion window is the quiet stretch of highway at 3 a.m., same road. Fraction of the cost. People who use this window correctly, converting $50,000 to $100,000 per year strategically, staying within optimal tax brackets, can dramatically reduce or even eliminate their RMD problem before it begins. But beyond Roth conversions, there's a second layer smart investors build, and this one surprises people. Taxable brokerage accounts. I know. That doesn't sound exciting, but stay with me. Here's the psychology most people fall into, and behavioral economists have actually studied this. It's called mental accounting. We treat money differently based on where it lives. Money in a 401k feels like serious retirement money. A brokerage account feels somehow less legitimate, less official, less safe. That mental framing costs people enormously, because money in a taxable brokerage account is treated at capital gains rates when you eventually sell, rates that are often 0%, 15% or 20% depending on your income. Compare that to the ordinary income rates on 401k withdrawals, which can hit 22%, 24% or higher. And crucially, a brokerage account has no RMDs, no forced withdrawals. No government mandating when or how much you access. You are completely in control. This is what sophisticated investors call tax diversification. Most people know you should diversify your investments, spread across stocks, bonds, real estate, different sectors. But far fewer people think about diversifying their tax exposure. Having money in 3 different buckets, pre-tax accounts like a 401k, tax-free accounts like a Roth, and taxable brokerage accounts, gives you something more valuable than any single investment return. Gives you flexibility, the ability to look at your tax situation in any given year and choose which bucket to draw from is one of the most powerful and most underused tools in personal finance. In a high-income year, you draw from your Roth. In a low-income year, maybe you convert more from your 401k. In a year where you need capital, your brokerage account gives you favorable rates. You stop reacting to taxes. You start engineering around them. That is the mindset shift separating David's retirement from Marcus's. So let's get practical, because understanding this conceptually is only half the value. If you're in your 20s and early 30s, The 401k deserves your loyalty right now. Especially the employer match. Never leave that on the table. Contribute at minimum up to whatever your employer matches. And if you can also contribute to a Roth IRA alongside it, you're already building the tax-diversified foundation that future you will be grateful for. If you're in your mid-30s to mid-40s, this is the inflection point where awareness changes everything. You don't need to abandon your 401k, but you should start asking a different question. Not just how much am I saving, but what kind of savings am I building? Pre-tax, tax-free, and taxable. Start building in all three directions. Even small amounts in each bucket now create significant strategic flexibility later. If you're in your 50s, this is the most important decade for tax strategy, not just investment strategy. A financial advisor who specializes in tax planning, not just portfolio management, becomes one of the most valuable people in your financial life. The decisions you make about where your money lives between 50 and 65 can be worth more than decades of investment returns. And if you're already in or approaching that 60 to 72 window, the Roth conversion, opportunity is sitting right in front of you, possibly for the last time. Work with a tax professional to model how much you can convert each year without jumping a bracket. This is chess, not checkers. But the payoff is extraordinary. One more thing. Do not wait until the RMDs begin to start thinking about this. By the time the government hands you your first required withdrawal, your window to optimize has already narrowed significantly. The best time to understand this strategy is years before you need it. Here's a thought that stays with me. We spend the first 40 years of our financial lives obsessing over one number: the balance. Watch it grow. Celebrate milestones. Max out contributions. We treat the size of the account like the score on a scoreboard. But the people who actually win, not just save, but genuinely win, they stopped looking at the scoreboard somewhere along the way. They started looking at the structure behind the number. Who owns it? When they can access it? What it costs to use it? And who controls the rules around it, David? And Marcus had the same number on the scoreboard at retirement, but only one of them built a structure that worked for him instead of against him. The 401k is a remarkable tool. For millions of people, it will be the single most important wealth-building vehicle of their lives. But a tool used past the point of its purpose stops being helpful. And blindly following the same strategy from age 25 to age 75 without ever questioning the structure, that's not discipline. That's just default. You now know there's a different way to play this. So here's the question I want to leave you with. One worth actually sitting with. Are you building a retirement account? Or are you building retirement freedom? Because those are not the same thing. And the gap between them is exactly what this video was about. If this shifted the way you think about your money, drop a comment below. I genuinely want to know at what stage of life you're currently in and whether any of this changes what you're planning. And if you know someone running toward retirement without this knowledge, share this with them. This might be the most valuable 15 minutes of financial thinking they encounter this year.